Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kaylee Taylor. This is Testimony Tuesday, and I'm so excited because I have my sister in Christ, Simran, here to share a special testimony, her personal story, and I know it's going to bless you. You're gonna be inspired, you're gonna be touched, so just allow your hearts to be open, your ears to just be open to receive what it is that she has to share with you today. And thank you, Simran, so much.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to just chat with you and just get to share your story with everyone. So for Testimony Tuesdays, I'd love if you could just give a little background about your childhood, maybe your upbringing, and then how you came to Jesus.
So for my childhood, I grew up in a very abusive house. I wasn't abused, but my dad abused my mom. So we had multiple nights of just screaming. I used to have the police officer's number scribbled. You know how kids scribble on the walls?
Oh my goodness.
So my mom had me scribble the police officer's number on the wall in case he ever tried to kill her.
Wow.
So it was a very interesting way to grow up as a child.
Yeah.
Did not know what a sense of safety was. When I was in 2nd grade is when my mom just grabbed me and ran away with me from my dad's house, and we moved to her mom's house at that point. So we didn't have a place to live that was our own, so we stayed in my grandparents' extra room. But her family wanted her to move back with my dad because of Indian culture. So they were not very happy to have us there.
With abuse?
So I was born after 12 years of marriage. The abuse started the day after the marriage.
Oh wow.
My mom was never quiet about it, but she was always convinced to go back, or that my grandfather had a government position, so it was for his reputation, it's the right thing to do. My dad's entire family partook in the abuse, like his parents. So before, they used to live with his family before they moved to their own apartment. So once we ran away, we stayed with my grandparents, and that was a really rough time too, because my mom has to start a career again by herself. We have no place that's our own house. My grandparents I love them now, but they're like slightly resentful that we're there, and I just don't belong. So that was the year, I think, where I fully just left life. I just started, I'd watch TV. I didn't feel like I had any real friends or connections because I just was not there. So I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood. I have it from my early childhood when we were living, my mom, dad, and I. Those were my happy memories as a child, because even though that was my normal, but being in a house where you're not wanted, I zoned out.
Yeah.
And my mom was just trying to build her career at that point. We move in, we get our own apartment, and this is just my mom and I this time. And she's noticing that I am checked out, right? But she is also getting her career back on track. She's working late, and I'm just there. I was very lonely because I'm an only child, and my mom's working all the time, and it's just me and random adults in my life who are taking me on. But so all through my life, I always felt there was no support, no one looking out for me. Everyone was just living their lives, and I was just on the side. It's just this child.
You feel like invisible?
Invisible. And I wanted to be more invisible. I lived away from school, so I didn't have friends around me. Later, my mom started taking more involvement in my life, but her mental health was declining. So we would get into a lot of fights. And we had just a really codependent relationship, because it was us against the world, and like the world is my grandparents, my dad. So my only purpose was to be there for my mom. So if she was low, I'm fighting with others to like get her just seen. I had given up on a relationship with my dad's side of the family, because there was one instance where they yelled at my mom, at me when she wasn't there, and just cursed her out, and I'm like, I'm not participating in this anymore. So just me and my mom, nobody else. And my mom just started taking things out on me now. So the world would attack her, she would attack me, I would go fight the world for her. And we were just stuck in this cycle. It got so bad that anything I did, I was always hiding it. I was not a bad kid, but I'd watch Korean dramas and I'd hide them because I'd get scolded for watching TV. And the scolding it would get so bad that I'd have to call relatives because my mom is that I'm having a heart attack, I'm having a nervous breakdown, or she's hurting herself in this argument. I was caught doing something. It was watching people kiss on YouTube. That was my like worst mistake as a child. And it was so unforgivable, and just so bad. Something I did that is just going to crash our world down. I'm the worst person in the world. That I cut "I hate you" on my thighs.
Oh my gosh, Simran.
It was just I don't know what I was doing, and I just had one thing, that I'm going to run away, because I run away. One thing about me is I've always run away. As soon as I turned 17, I moved to the US.
By yourself?
By myself, so for college.
Wow.
I came here, I was not nervous. I'm leaving my entire life behind, but that's always been easy for me till recently, that I can just leave everybody behind and just start afresh.
Yeah.
College, I thought it would be great, and it was the first place I felt joy. I didn't have my family just holding me back and just not being real, because I couldn't feel real around them because I'd be punished for it. So I was really happy my first year. And then,
was it like a culture shock for you when you came?
No, there was nothing to me, if that makes sense. I had no identity at that point. I was just forming. I was just learning how to be a person. This is how you talk to people. This is how you stand. As a child of neglect who's not been taught much, you don't know, you're creating a person.
Yes.
So it didn't feel like culture shock, because I was just like, this is how I exist.
Wow.
First year, I was still very codependent on my mom. We spoke so long every day, and then just every part of my life she knew everybody I was in touch with. But as you grow up, right? So as I was disconnecting a little bit, she was having a really hard time letting me go. So my sophomore year, junior year of college, I had so many mental breakdowns because of WhatsApp, just the horrible text, the voicemails. I had just been living my life, and I'm having anger issues at that point. So it's not just me, but we're fighting. I'm feeling helpless. I'm never going to be good enough. I think it's my junior year, I just started having extreme suicidal ideation, just imagining different ways I'm just going to end it all.
Wow.
And there was no reason for me to do so. I was doing well in school. I had a bunch of clubs, but I was also binge drinking. I was also embarrassing my friends just by how I was behaving. I was fighting with people, and I was fighting with my mom. And on the other side, I was doing well in classes, leading a bunch of clubs, just having my resume ready, having all my applications done.
Like
so
on the outside it looked good, but inside
it was awful. If you looked at my college dorm room, it was so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
What did it look like?
It was the messiest thing you'd ever see, just like dirt, trash. Just someone who's given up, basically. And all these people saw me outside put together, and then I never let anybody see my room except for some of my friends, and they'd just be like, what's going on? Right? So I was just living two lives, and then also third one of telling my family that I'm perfect. I'm like, no need to be concerned. But it started slipping a little bit. In my junior year, where my grades started, I was late for all my assignments, and my mom just was also getting worse in India. So we both are just having a really difficult time. I get out of college, and then time to run away again, because what's my other option? So I joined the Peace Corps.
Wow.
And
this is amazing. And then you joined. You are very brave. Despite everything that you've shared thus far, she's very brave.
I like countries. I always wanted to travel. Travel was something, I love cultures, I love people. It was in the Peace Corps where my facade really fell down.
Really?
Because I was so stressed by my family. your body is not doing very well in the Peace Corps. I love the Peace Corps. I loved being in the Peace Corps. I loved all the people I met in the Peace Corps. But my body did not love the Peace Corps. For 6 months, I was just had a stomach upset, and I lost so much weight, and I couldn't eat food. My family is still stressing me out through WhatsApp, and I'm still trying to be the perfect volunteer, but I am not perfect. That was something I had to accept after I accepted Christ in my life, that I don't have to be perfect. But my body gave up, and I got something called conversion disorder, which one day my host mom was just telling me a story that was really sad. I went in and I sat inside my bedroom. As soon as I sat down, my mouth fell. Like it was like this. It just fell.
Like the drooping.
Yeah. I called my doctor, and she said, you need to come to the capital, which was an 8-hour trip to the capital, because you have to wait for a bus and then go on the bus. She couldn't figure out what was happening. The only thing I was getting was my face was drooping, and then I'd have spasms because of the face drooping. She prescribed me tranquilizers.
What? Oh my gosh, wait, did she ask me any questions at all? Like, what happened? And did you get to share with her? You just heard the sad story? And
no, like, she just like, she couldn't figure it. She did her best. It's a very difficult disorder to diagnose, because you can see physical symptoms, right? Someone can go blind, someone's getting paralyzed, but you can't find the reasons. So first she thought it's Bell's palsy, but then she saw the spasms, the painful spasms I was having with it, and she's like, that's not it. So she made me stay in the capital over time. It was not just my face. I would just be sitting there and I can't move anymore.
Paralyzed?
Fully paralyzed. I'd get so stuck. So they took me to the neurologist in the capital. He said there's nothing wrong because my brain is fine. They flew me out to the US I was evacuated, medevac. I had to use a wheelchair in the airport. It was a really stressful time, and
your body was shutting down.
My body decided it doesn't work anymore. Came and still don't know what's going on, right? Came to the US, and I have to stay with my family. I stayed with my uncle's family, who during that time, I'm so thankful for them. They really advocated for me, took care of me, took me to the doctors, and even during that time, I tried my best with my mom, and we'd still work, because she's definitely concerned, but we still fight. My face is stuck and we're fighting. And what else? Yeah, I met a really good doctor. He was a psychiatrist, and he specialized in trauma, especially, and he was very familiar with South Asian countries. He'd worked in Nepal before. So he understood how a Western doctor might not understand how internalized Indian family dynamics are. It's never, you can never tell someone, oh, don't talk to your family, or this doesn't matter, right? Because it's truly your identity and truly internalized in Asia. So he figured out that this was conversion disorder, and and that explanation was just so freeing. And then you start thinking, am I faking it? Because if this is just a mental health condition, am I faking it? But he helped me understand that it's fight, flight, or freeze. My body is freezing. It's fought a lot. It's flew a lot, and it's time to freeze now. And we just spoke every day, no, twice a week, 1-hour sessions, with one of the best psychologists in the country, thanks to Peace Corps. And we were trying to get me back to country. So that's why we were trying to get me fixed up so I can go back. So I started walking again. I had to go on little walks because I didn't have much energy. I was so depleted. So I learned how to walk again, go for longer walks, and then go for longer walks.
This is huge, Simran. You literally had a physical shutdown. So if you guys don't know, trauma gets held in the body. So when it gets triggered, that's why you had the physical shutdown and freeze state, right? And the fact that you had all these symptoms and you're sharing, like, you had to learn to walk again. Wow.
That's how I did 10,000 steps every day while I was getting better, right? So I checked my step count, and sometimes I had to call my uncle's family, can you pick me up? I can't make it back.
Wow.
But thanks to the doctor, I got better. Couldn't go back for Peace Corps because that's the time COVID happened.
Oh my
So,
goodness, in the middle of COVID too?
Yeah.
Wow.
So all of the Peace Corps was evacuated back to the US. So I had no place to go. So I was stuck again. And some friends ran out from Peace Corps, and Jake, my fiance,
Her hubby. Fiance, happy on the way.
we used to talk on house party all day, every day for hours, because we had nothing to do.
And you guys met at the Peace Corps?
Yeah, we were training partners, and he was the one who told me, hey, we evacuated. I knew he was Christian. I did not know what being Christian meant at that point. So I spoke to those friends every day, and they were my lifeline during that time when I'm stuck in this room, stuck in my body.
Wow.
A couple of other girls were going through the similar things, and we decided to get an Airbnb in Philly and use our unemployment and just stay in that Airbnb together.
That's actually a really amazing idea.
It was so cheap.
And to have that support in that community that you built.
We needed that. We needed that.
Wow.
And I love those girls. We flew to, they picked me up from Virginia. They drove. So one was from Massachusetts, one was from Ohio. They picked me up from Virginia, drove back to Philly. I had to fight my family to leave because my mom also has a lot of health and anxiety that's projected on me. And again, I was sick, to be fair. Right. But it was, if you leave, you will never be allowed again. You are betraying all of us by leaving. And
sounds like there's some very strong, rooted rules in a sense.
Yeah, an arbitrary rule. The thing is, I was raised by my mom, so all the rules are my mom. We were just a two-people family system and a world. So everything in that world was run by my mom, and I was not allowed to question back. So even in the bigger family or bigger cultural context, people still don't understand why we behaved the way we did, because we were just an isolated unit.
Just the two of you.
So everyone else was trying to convince her to let me go. She had breakdowns. She got sick because of the stress of me leaving to Philly.
Wow.
Super angry with her brother for not convincing me. And I am an adult, so I left. Yes. And I knew that was for the better, because I wanted to apply for jobs. I wanted to be in a space that I could stay in Philly. Great time, loved it. We applied for 200 jobs around that time. Started my career off then.
Wow.
But the only thing that was weighing in my mind was my family is like this, and conversion disorder is not curable. So I always had the weight of this thing just pulling me down, and I have to solve it. At that point, Jake was visiting me for 4th of July. I loved hanging out with him. We tried to date, but realized we couldn't because he said that he was Christian. And he didn't do a really good job explaining it back then. And I took it as he's saying I'm going to hell.
Oh.
We both grew a lot from that.
Yes.
And I was Hindu. So a lot of parents are gods in Hinduism, right? So I'm never going to be a good person because I'm constantly rebelling. Nothing in my life looks like rebelling to anybody who's observing it, but it was rebellion. Yes. Yeah. And I'm not a good person then, because I'm not listening to my mom as she's saying what I'm doing. She said that she wanted to move to the US, and I was suffocated then.
Was your mom like your God?
Yeah. She was my God. She was my connection to God. She's the only one who spoke to God. Every astrologer that we've ever been to told me that my life will only succeed because of my mom.
Oh my goodness.
So there was a time where we fought, and she said, I curse you. You will never do well. There were a lot of curses. So I really did think that the only way I could ever be successful is by listening to my mom. Wow. So this is around the time where I'm still talking to Jake, and I go for Christmas with his family. No, so we decided we can't date. Stop talking. Then realize we're really good friends and we can't give up on that friendship. He invites me to Christmas with his family because I've not had a family Christmas. The previous Christmas I spent alone with a cat. Not my cat.
Really? Yeah. So this is your first experience of Christmas ever?
My uncle's family did a little tree and stuff, but yeah. Christian Christmas, yes.
Christians, yes.
Yeah.
Spirit-filled, following Jesus, Christian Christmas.
Yes.
Jesus is Yeah, the reason.
And so I went to his family for Christmas, and they are so nice. They're so happy. They're so loving. And I couldn't understand that. Families are just nice to each other.
Yeah.
That was so confusing because
Wow.
family is the one place you can be your worst because they love you. That's how I was raised, right? If I have a bad day, my bad day is coming to you because I love you.
Yes.
And
That's just what you knew.
Yeah.
That's what you're familiar with.
And I couldn't get it. I went to church with them. And now I know that was the joy of the Lord. And then I felt the Spirit in the church, but I still didn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Come back to Jake's in Austin from his family in Arkansas. I still want to date the guy so bad, but he doesn't want to. So he's Christian.
You still want to date the guy.
And I'm like trying to hey. And there's some level of curiosity about Christ too. We go to Christian Life here while we're here, and I loved it too. So confused what's going on because I've also been very anti-Christian because in India we have Hindu nationalism, and I've always been anti any religion nationalism, and this was not the best time for the reputation of Christians for non-Christians. So I just had very bad views of Christianity and organized religion. So now those things, like that dichotomy is fighting within me.
What were like some of the things that some of the perspectives you had about Christians?
So I did not know that the foundation of everything is love. That's what Christ wants us and calls us to do, love. And we all live through grace.
Yeah.
I saw judgment. I saw Islamophobia. I saw racism, but I saw the worst of Christians.
Yeah.
And I experienced it too. I went to a college in upstate New York. And upstate New York is a rural, scary town for a brown person. So I didn't see the best in Christians. But then I also had a very different idea of how people in Arkansas would be. That was me being judgmental and prejudicial before I went. And his family was wonderful, and it was a wonderful time. But yeah, so I was really scared about being Christian. All my friends are also, they have a lot of church hurt. They have a lot of community hurt. So I didn't have friends who were supportive of being Christian. You can be anything, but you can't be Christian.
Wow.
But what did we do? We started praying. I asked Jake, like, hey, you say you're Christian. Can you show me what it means to be Christian? So like, can we do things together that like, I see what you mean? Because with me, you say you're Christian, but I don't hear you talking about God. So I don't know anything about God.
Was it like the love and the joy and the peace that you experienced from him that kind of put down some of the walls and created curiosity?
Yeah, no.
Wow.
He was the only person I've ever been as comfortable as I have been in my life. And
and that's why they're getting married.
I felt so open, and just, I think when I was saying about all the thoughts I had about Christians, I saw him and I couldn't.
You couldn't match it.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second, there's something different here.
Exactly.
Not what I thought it was.
Exactly. Like judgmental. You can tell him anything and he's gonna be, oh, okay.
So non-judgmental, yeah.
So now I have a Christian friend. I had thoughts about Christians, but I didn't know them very well. So who's wrong here? Me. And I'm okay to admit that. So, but then the only person I wanted to hear about Christianity was from him then, because I trusted him.
Yes.
And I was scared of the others. So we started praying together. We also decided to start a relationship. But I was still not Christian. I was still Hindu. So he was still conflicted. But our thing was, give me time. Let me see what this is. If this is something I'm called to, let that be my destination. And I don't want you to be the destination. You be my partner.
That's so good.
In the end, if that is not real for me, I will walk away. We can break up. But I am not going to have a relationship contingent to like, oh, if you become Christian, we can date.
Yes.
We can date and then see, like, you can be my support system. His sister is the first person who ever sent me a Bible. So my first Bible, I got it by mail early on while we were dating. His family is just really sweet, loving, and supportive, and praying for me ever since before I became Christian, right? And I decided to go to church in DC by myself. It was really nerve-wracking, but the welcome team kind of dragged me in.
Wait, how did you, because growing up you had that experience of not feeling welcomed, so it makes sense that you would feel the nerves to like go there, and then you said you've had this like huge welcoming.
It was
how did you get the strength to do that?
I didn't. I had a friend, I love her a lot. She was visiting me for a week, but I'm someone who can only hang out with some people with breaks. She was staying in my room,
Yes.
she was staying with me. At that time, I'd spoken about going to church, but I was not doing it because I was scared. I needed alone time from her.
So you went, God will take it in for her for good. Look how he just like called you. Like, yeah.
So I went to church. I went down, I googled church near me. Found the church, was 10 minutes walking distance. Told her, hey, I'm going to church tomorrow. Do you want to join? And she's like, no. Okay.
Wow.
So I went, and this church was in a high school. It was in a high school auditorium.
I'm just so amazed by what you just shared. Like, it's crazy because sometimes people could think, you know, something bad's happening in their life or this relationship. It's like, oh, I'm at capacity, but that was actually a good thing for you.
Oh yeah, it was.
Because it propelled you to go to church. Tell me about your experience when you went.
So that church, everything happens. He does everything full circle, right? The welcome, I'm standing outside the school, nervous. I think I called Jake on the way to this church. I don't know if I'm gonna go in. I'm scared. He's go in. It's fine. They're nice. I walk, and you can't tell it's a church because it's a high school. But the welcome team sees me and they come in. They walk me in there. They find me a seat, and I felt seen. I felt welcome. They have an altar call. I go to the little altar call and I ask for prayer that, can Jesus speak to me? I want to follow him, but I don't know him. I don't hear him. And the person praying for me was the pastor.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh, this makes me like want to tear up. This is just so beautiful, Simran, because I know so many people who are today standing at the walls of like, I don't want to go do that because I'm afraid of, I've been hurt before.
Yes.
And those guards are up. But the fact that like you went, and then how God just showed up for you, you felt seen, you felt heard, you felt loved, and then you praying to know Jesus from the pastor. Like God is clearly like, come on, Simran.
And I love that pastor. He was so nice, and he was one of those people who, he prayed over you. He remembers your name every time you're at church. He sees you. He asks you your story. He knows my story now. Yeah, I love that church. That was the perfect place for me to be. They said the things that I, as a non-believer, needed to hear, that I heard and just wanted to be there. I wanted to hear more from them, join their little groups, you know. My friends are so confused. At this point, they don't understand. I have the best friends. They're so confused, but they're so supportive.
So confused, this is supportive. Like, something good is happening. I don't know what this is, but it's fine.
I kept inviting them to church, and I became the person where they also had opinions about Christianity, right? But okay, if you were considering it, maybe there's something here. I'd invite them to church all the time. My friends were the ones who attended my baptism. So again, just
wow.
Like, they invited me to a party, but I said I have to leave because I can't stay too late because I have to go to church. And they were like, okay.
Wow. So you going, like, God is, you know, nudging you, and you are going to church to pursue Jesus, and then all your friends are getting influenced by you now following.
So I don't think they got influenced, but they just, I was able to share the love that I was getting filled in.
Yes.
I still get pray over them and just, you know, love on them, and what I was learning at church, and I was still finding myself at that point. Yeah, I got baptized around that time in that church. No, that's before that. I was not heard back from God yet, right? I'm still waiting. Jake and I have started a Bible study. And I'm reading the Bible, trying to do from Genesis to the end. You can't do that as a new Christian. Start with John, start with the gospel.
Yes, that's a big undertaking, but that's a note for anyone listening. If you're a new Christian, yeah, the gospels are a good place to start. John too.
That was his suggestion, and that made life so much easier. I was like, oh, that's Jesus. Okay, nice to meet you. I sit down for an Easter service, and it was something about being alone and not having people, or it was about having people. But I broke down because I felt I've never had anybody.
Wow.
Which I was also so blind to the people I had. I had friends, I had Jake, I had people, but I was so used to being alone that I wanted to be alone. But I wasn't. All these moments, my lowest life times, I was praying. I was reaching out to God and asking for someone to help me.
Even when you were younger too?
Always. I wanted someone to improve my life, someone to take me out of this. And I always thought it would be me, and I really wasn't enough. So that's why I broke down in Peace Corps, because that was me trying to take myself out of that situation. So there have been a lot of moments in my life before I've been Christian where I've just been, help.
Yes.
But he helped me. He got me here. And I had that realization as I'm sitting there in service, and I'm bawling. And then they play Firm Foundation, and I'm singing Firm Foundation, and I'm just like, this is my life. I have a life with God. It's not going to be taken away with the carpet. I'm not going to be running away from it.
Wow.
And I've never felt freer.
Wow.
Get baptized after this because I was so sure. It was also around the time Jake was going through really life transformations and giving up a lot of things that were not from God, and he aggressively chased God again. So we decided that it's time that I moved to Austin and started serving in Christian life.
And you guys got together this time? You're like,
so we started dating in February, right? And this is the same time where I'm going through my first search, starting that church in DC. Easter is when
have that moment.
Wow. May is when Jake is having his moments and like having transformations. June is when I get baptized.
Oh my goodness.
So we tried so hard before, didn't work out very well. God comes into the picture, he comes into the timeline. Things happen so fast, life's changed so fast.
Wow.
And yeah, I moved to Austin, started attending Christian life, started attending young adults, and my family problems did not go away. But the way I felt about them went away. I didn't realize, or I always knew how bad my depression was, how bad my anxiety was, how I spent 2 days a week on the bed. I was very functional. Functionality has always been important to me, and just being there with a smile has been important because I've been called a burden too many times as a child that I will never try to be a burden. But coming here and just having a routine in Christ, transformational. I loved going to church. My Sundays were not for hangovers, they were for Jesus.
Amen to that
word. My relationship with Jake was so much joy. This is the person I'm closest to and he's closest to. We're not taking anything bad out on each other. We're so kind, graceful, loving. Everything that we're learning from Jesus, we're sharing it with each other. So we're just happy. Whenever my family comes into the picture, we have some things that's heartbreak. It's so nice to always have Christ to fall back on, Christ to pray for. I can't solve this. I have hope that you're going to do something. I know you're going to do something. Yes. Even right now, at this moment, I can't see it. You are there. So my outlook towards life changed. I started planning a future to live, right? But yeah, so that's where I am now.
Amazing. Amazing, Simran. Okay, wait. I have a question. Yeah.
I'm on the welcome team for young adults and the prayer team. And it's only because of the first church. That was the prayer team and the welcome team that got me in. This is where I belong.
This is wild. To go from your childhood, not feeling welcomed, to now being someone on a welcoming team. There's so much redemption in your story. Can you talk a little bit about how did you work through some of those traumas?
So I'm still working through them. We are always working through them, right?
Yeah.
For me, I had to identify trauma responses, because the pain is, I've given that to Christ. I have given my childhood to Christ. I've given my family's pain to Christ. I still hold on to certain just behaviors that are not healthy for my present life. So give myself a lot of grace when pain is in the picture. When in my relationship with Jake, there's something that triggers me or makes me behave in a way that's not productive for us. I give myself grace, but I'll also hold myself accountable that I'm not carrying my pain here. I'm giving my pain up there. I still allow myself to be sad. I called it a sad day. And I'll just sit there and feel it. I know that I don't have a lot of energy as compared to other people because of how depression works for me, and but I am always refilled, and my cup is filled after going to church, after going to Tuesday nights. I can't have as many days as I'm just going to be on the bed because I'm so involved in the church. And because it's a space where I'm not going to get drained but getting filled. I don't know, does that answer it?
Yes. Well, I love that you are aware of your triggers. You can identify your defaults, like, oh, I'm in my depression right now. Giving yourself grace, knowing that Jesus will always be there for you, that hope, that foundation, and acknowledging when the sadness is there to allow yourself to feel it. Did you learn a lot of that with your therapist, or it's like, who was it? Yeah,
with my therapist, and also when I was doing Build-A-Bear with myself, you know, how I felt like I built my own personality and my thing. So I was someone who always sat and thought about, oh, this is how I'm behaving. This is how it's going on. So I was always someone who can sit back in my feelings and break them down, because I know what I want to be. I always see the people that I want to be like, and then I try to study their habits.
That's amazing.
So that's
actually like really wise and brilliant.
I just didn't know what to do, right? I remember specifically having 3 people, and I saw them as being happy and nice and did not just gossip. And I'm like, what do they talk about? I started listening to those conversations. I think that's what I'm doing at church too, now looking at people who are so spirit-led, and I'm just, what does your surrender look like?
Wow.
So I think it was both my therapist and just because of doing Build-A-Bear on myself is why I have a lot of things like written down as processes in my mind.
That's so good. So if anyone's listening, I think this is so amazing that you have. It's almost like a gifting that you can like process through and look at yourself and also look at a model of, okay, I want to be more modeled like that. And then see where, you know, the ways that Christ was. Like, that is amazing, Simran, that you can do that.
You have to.
This is so important. I feel like for any viewers who are listening, because you've come so far, do you have any words of encouragement if they're right now, you know, struggling with their identity and who they are, or maybe their past is creeping up on them? Anything that you could share as an encouragement?
Yeah, it's just that you're never stuck. Like, life will truly make you feel like you're stuck. The world will tell you you're stuck. It'll tell you that you're not good enough because of who you are, what you've been through. You have a blank slate. You have a blank slate through Christ. He died for you to have a blank slate. At any moment where anyone in the world is telling you, yeah, this is how you are, this is who you are, life will always look like that. You know what happened, you know who died for you, and you're going to start afresh, you're going to start anew. You're going to live a beautiful, wonderful life.
Wow. That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Guys, thank you so much for listening, and Simran, thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, you are a walking miracle. You really are. I hope that you take a lot of the tools that she's sharing and the wisdom she's sharing with you about, you know, building yourself, the perspective, the triggers, the giving yourself grace, just the encouragement, like you said, a clean slate, because that is what Jesus offers. And Wow, thank you so much. This is like, touches my heart, Simran. She is a ball of joy every single time I see her at church. Her and her fiance, Jake, they're so cute. We actually met at the homeless ministry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're just always like, you could just see the joy of the Lord inside of them. So thank you so much for coming out here and just sharing your testimony with all of us. And, yeah, just being a light and shining for Christ. I love you so much. You guys like and subscribe and share this video if you were encouraged, and drop a comment. What spoke to you of Simran's story, and is there something you need prayer for? Drop in the comments so we could pray for you. Love you guys. Till next time. Okay, when are you guys getting married?
10/05/24, and it'll be 5 years from the day that we met.
Are you serious?
Yep.
That is amazing. Guys!